Welcome to my YouTube channel Modi Mechanical Engineering Tutorials. In this video, I would like to explaining on basics about pattern and types of patterns. So let us start with the introduction of pattern. So basically, a pattern is a mold forming tool in the hands of foundryman, or you can say in simple way, a pattern is a model or replica of the object to be cast. Except for the various allowances, a pattern exactly resembles the castings to be made. A pattern is required even if one object has to be cast. A pattern may be defined as a model, or you can say form around which the sand is packed to give rise to a cavity known as a mold cavity, in which when the molten form of the metal is to be poured and after the solidification process, the result and that will be the cast object. So basically in this video, I only focusing on to the different patterns. So for selecting a particular kind of patterns for making a castings, one may consider for the following points. So basically, first one, quantity of the castings to be produced. So if it will be the single piece production, batch productions or mass productions. So which kind of production systems is going to be used for manufacturing of the cast product. Second, the size and the complexity of the shapes of the castings to be produced. Type of molding methods is to be used, or you can say hand molding, or you can say with the help of machine molding. Then problems associated with the molding operations such as withdrawing the patterns from the mold. So whenever there will be the difficulties, so at that time the wax material is being used as a pattern material. Other difficulties resulting from poor casting designs, or you can say pattern design. So the different types of patterns commonly used are one piece pattern, or you can say in simple way solid pattern, split pattern, or you can say two piece patterns, loose piece patterns, match plate patterns, cop and drag pattern, sweep pattern, gated pattern, skeleton pattern, and follow board pattern. So in this video only on focusing on to the types of patterns. So starting with the first one piece pattern, or you can say solid pattern. So just you can see in case of the one piece pattern, as the name suggests, the pattern that will be made into the single piece. So basically that will be used for a large size of the jobs with less complexity, or you can say for simple shape and size. So it is a simplest types of pattern. As the name suggested, the pattern is made from one piece and does not contain loose piece or any kind of joints. So you can say that will be the single piece patterns. So it is inexpensive. It is used for making a few large size simple casting process. One piece pattern is usually made up of wood materials, or you can say metal, depending upon the quantity to be cast. So whenever that will be the mass productions with the large size of the patterns, so that time it will be a metallic materials is being used as a pattern materials. And one more things, these metallic materials, or you can say metallic patterns, is will be made with the help of wooden patterns. For making the mold, the one piece pattern is accommodated either into the cup or into the drag to making a mold cavity. So that will be the one piece pattern, or you can say solid pattern, or you can say simple pattern. Then second one, split pattern. So just you can see the first figure. So that one piece patterns, now it will be converting into the two piece. So the upper portions that will be in contact with the cop, so that will be known as a cop pattern, and the lower part of the patterns that will be the drag patterns. So by the joining of these two cop patterns and drag patterns, it will be used to making a cast products. So there will be some complexity and there. So these two or three pieces according to my requirements of the shape and size, it will be joined for making a mold cavity. So that will be the second figure. Just you can see that will be the top part, or you can say cop pattern, drag pattern, and both the patterns which will be connected with the help of dowel pins. Into the another applications, just you can see there will be some complex geometry, and that will be made with the help of split patterns. So here that will be the three parts is being used for manufacturing of such kind of objects. So at the top that will be the cop and filling the molding strand around this. Into the between cop and drag, that will be the check part. So according to its shape and size, as you can see, it will be making a cavity. And into the lower part, there will be the drag. And joining of these three, cop, check and drag, and making a mold cavity into the sand molding process, and pouring the molten form of the metal, and the cast product is being generating. So with the help of multi-piece, or you can say split patterns, it will be making such kind of jobs. So patterns of the integrated shaped castings cannot be made into the single piece because of the inherent difficulties associated with the molding operations, like withdrawing the patterns from the mold. So such patterns are then made as a split, or you can say two-piece patterns. So as per my requirements of the final shape and size of the cast products, it will be dividing into two or more number of parts. So that will be all for a split pattern. Then third one, for the split patterns. So this is a cop pattern, drag pattern. So the upper and the lower parts of the split patterns are accommodated into the cop and drag portions of the mold respectively. The dowel pins are used for keeping the alignment between the two parts, because of that will be the alignment is the essential part for increasing the dimensional requirements. The parting lines of the patterns form the parting lines into the mold. Patterns for the still more integrated castings are made into the more than two pieces for the facilitate their molding and withdrawing. So a pattern having a three piece will be requires a three piece flask for the molding purpose. So that will be depends upon the my requirements of the casting product. Then third one, loose piece pattern. So just you can see the first figure. So that will be the cop part, and this is hatch sections, that will be our pattern. So as per my requirements, so just you can see some loose pieces is being fixed with the pattern. So just you can see into the second figure, so figure A, so that will be the pattern. Just you can see such kind of slots onto the pattern. So such kind of slots onto the pattern which will be having a difficulties for removing for making a mold cavity. So at that time what happens, the pattern it will be into simple form. So this figure C, right? So this is a simple form of the patterns, and just you can see into B, this A and B portions, or you can say two loose pieces is being fixed with the pattern. So it will be converting into desired shape and size. So what happens? Just you can make a simple pattern like this to making a such kind of geometry, and by the application of this loose piece according to my requirements, it will be placed with the help of pattern. So first you remove the patterns, so that will be easy task for you. Then after you will removing both the A part and B part. So this A and B which will be indication as a loose pieces. So that loose pieces is being used to making a complex geometry kind of mold cavity. So just you can see first figure, that will be the my required shapes, but this kind of patterns having a difficulties for removing from the sand mold. So just you can make a simple patterns like this, so it will be easily removing. And for this complexity of the jobs, according to my requirements, such kind of A and B as a loose piece is being fixed over here. right? So first of all, removing the simple pattern, then removing the A and B as a loose piece. So you will directly get a complicated part into the mold cavity. So this is an application of loose piece pattern. So certain patterns cannot be withdrawn once they are embedded in the molding sand. Such patterns are usually made with one or more loose pieces. So that will be depends upon my requirements of the shape and size. Pieces for facilitating their removal from the molding box and are known as a loose piece pattern. Loose parts, or you can say pieces, remains attached with the main body of the pattern with the help of dowel pins. The main body of the patterns is drawn first from the molding box as we already discussed, and therefore the loose parts are to be removed. So the result, it will be a mold cavity. So that will be not damaging the mold cavity, and that will be the easy task for removing the patterns and making a mold cavity. Loose pieces patterns involves more labor and consumes more times in the molding operations because there will be having a difficulties. The next one, match plate pattern. So just you can see match plate patterns. So here it will be the one plate, or you can say match plate is being there, and the patterns, it will be attached onto the upper side and lower side with the help of runner, and providing the hole for the molten form of the metal. So just you can see such kind of shape, and that will be the cop pattern. The lower side, that will be the drag patterns, and in between it will be a match plate. So from both the side of the match plate, it will be the different size and shape of the patterns is being attaching, and there will be the one hole for locating. So here that will be the hole. So a match plate patterns consist of a match plate on either side of which each half, or can say split patterns, is to be fastened. So basically it will be having a one kind of plate, and both the side it will be the patterns is being attached. A number of different size and shape patterns may be mounted onto the match plate patterns. So there will be the no limitations with respect to the shape and size. So you will also make a different shape and size of the patterns. It will be onto the both the side of the match plate. So you can make a different size and shape of the job with the help of match plate patterns. So that will be the good advantages of such kind of patterns. The match plate with the help of locator holes can be clamped with a drag bar. The match plate has runner and gates also attached with it. After the cop and drag have been rammed with the help of molding sand, the match plate pattern is removed from in between the cop and drag. So in case of the match plate patterns, just you can see the cop and drag are assembled, and this completes the total mold. So what happens? The patterns, match plate, runner, gates, all may be made of the aluminium because it is light and relatively inexpensive. Match plate patterns are normally used into the machine moldings. Match plate patterns are preferred for producing the small castings onto the mass productions. So that will be only having a feasibilities for a mass production. They produce accurate castings and at a faster rate. So that will be having a good productivity with the higher acceptance number with the good dimensional accuracy. Piston rings of IC engines are produced with the help of match plate patterns. So that will be the one of the examples of the utilization of match plate patterns. The next, sweep pattern. So just you can see there will be the setup for the sweep patterns. So here that will be the cope part, and into the cope the filling with a sand. And just you can see there will be that center, it will be a spindle. And spindle, it will be attached with a sweep, or you can say in simple way that will be the wooden ball. So this wooden ball that will be easily rotating around this spindle. So by the rotation of this sweep, or you can say wooden board, it will be forms a cavity. So as per the requirements of the my shape and size of that particularly sand mold, you have to make such kind of sweeps. So just you can see this is the shape of the sheep, or you can say wooden pattern, or you can say wooden board. So by the rotating, it will be making a such kind of cylindrical kind of mold cavity. So as per my requirements, it will be making a different shape and size of the wooden board, or you can say sweep. So by the sweeping, it will be making a mold cavity. That's why it will be known as a sweep pattern. So a sweep pattern is just a form made onto a wooden board which sweeps the shape of the castings into the sand all around the circumference. The sweep patterns rotates about the post, or you can say spindle. So what happens? Once the mold is ready, the sweep patterns and the post can be easily removed and making a sand mold. So the sweep patterns avoids the necessity of making a full, large circular and costly three-dimensional pattern. Making sweep patterns saves a lots of times and labor as compared to making a full pattern. A sweep preferred for producing large castings of circular sections and symmetrical shapes. So basically that would be used for the large size of the castings and the symmetrical jobs. The manufacture of large kettles of the cast irons requires a sweep pattern. The next one, gated pattern. So just you can see into the figure, it will be representing as a gated pattern. So there will be the runners and gating systems, and both the side of the runners, it will be the different shape and size of the patterns is being fixed. And just you can see into the center, it will be the hole is providing. So at the top side, the molten form of the metal is to be poured. Then this molten form of the metals, it will be traveling through the runner into the gating systems towards a pattern. So just you can see into the second figure, here that will be the portions of the molten form of the metal. So that metal, it will be pouring into that runner, and by these gating systems, this molten form of the metals, it will be fill the particularly patterns, or you can say whatever shape is required, such kind of patterns is being attached. So different gating systems, it will be available for gated pattern. So basically that will be used for the small size of the castings, or it will be also used for the integrated shapes. So in case of the gated patterns are usually made of the metals which increases their strength and reduce the tendency to wrap. The sections connecting different patterns serves as a runner and gates. These facilitate filling of the mold with molten metal in a better manner, at the same time eliminates the time and the labor otherwise consumed in cutting runners and gates. So in the case of the gated pattern, a gated pattern can manufacture many castings at a same time, and thus it is used into the mass productions of the systems. So at the same time you will get a different shape and size of the cast products, so that will be having a help for increasing the productivity for a mass productions. So gated patterns are employed for producing small castings, as we already discussing. Then next patterns, and that will be skeleton patterns. So just you can see the shape and size of the skeleton patterns. So into this A, that will be the skeleton frame, and second one, loam sand is being fixed, and with the help of trickle board, it will be fix all the boards. So skeleton frame filled with the loam sand and finished with the trickle board. So that will be the similar kind of arrangement that will be fine for the construction site. Or you can say if it will be the large size of the cast products, so you will select a skeleton patterns. So a skeleton pattern is the skeleton of desired shapes. The skeleton frame is mounted onto the metal base. A skeleton is made from the wooden strips and thus a wooden framework. The skeleton pattern is filled with the sand and is rammed. A trickle board, or you can say wooden board, assists in giving the desired shape to the sand and removes the extra sand as per my requirements. If the object is symmetrical like a pipe, the two halves can be molded by using the same patterns, and then the two molds can be assembled before the pouring of the molten metal. So such kind of arrangement you will find into the skeleton patterns. Basically, skeleton patterns are employed for producing a few large size of the castings. That will be the main advantages. A skeleton pattern is very economical as compared to the solid patterns because it involves less material cost. Castings for turbine castings, water pipes, channels, etc. are made with the help of skeleton pattern. So that will be the common applications of this pattern. Then follow board pattern. So just you can see the figure, or you can say setup. So here it will be the mold board is there, and this is a follow board, and the patterns that will be onto a follow board. So just you can see a follow board is a wooden board and is used for supporting a patterns which is very thin and fragile. So at such kind that will be a utilization of follow board. So which may be collapse under the pressure when the sand above the pattern is being rammed. So in some complicated geometry of the patterns, or you can say that would be having a difficulties of the pattern materials to withstanding such kind of ram, or you can say force. So at that time the follow board pattern is being employed. So with the follow board supports the under the weak pattern, the drag is rammed and then follow board is withdrawn. The ram drag is inverted, cop is mounted on it and rammed. During these operations, the pattern remains over the inverted drag and gets supported from the ram sand for the drag under it. So it will be easily making a mold cavity. So ultimately the pattern is removed and the cop and drag are assembled. So I hope you understand this. If you like this, then subscribe and share. Modi Mechanical Engineering tutorials. Thank you so much and keep watching.